It was a productive week off. We were able to shorten practice a little bit, get the guys' legs back up underneath them. It was good coming off a win. Obviously they came in a little bit more spirited, but we still had to kind of keep our thumb on them a little bit and keep that chip on our shoulder. That's kind of one of the messages we've had all week is, the rest of the year, don't take that weight or that chip off your shoulder, play with it, and it'll benefit you. This week, we go out and we play a heck of an Ohio State team. Urban Meyer's done a great job throughout his career building great programs. This is another reflection of one of those programs. Very talented football team. Defensively, they fly around. Windows are going to close fast. Space is going to close fast. We've got to do a really good job of executing at a really high level and playing a fast game. Defensively, the improvement we saw on tackling has to be there in order for us to have a chance. They've got some dynamic guys, especially Dobbins, obviously Barrett, and a host of other guys. So we have to do a really good job of swarming, getting to the football, and then special teams. Whenever you play a team like this, that depth really comes in and you really see their productivity. So we've got to do a really good job of ball placement. We've got to do a really good job, again, of tackling in space. And we've got to eliminate any penalties. We've had a couple games in a row where we've had some penalties on special teams. We want to eliminate that. So we do those things to give us the best opportunity. We're excited about this game and can't wait to go.
What is it about J.T. Barrett that stands out to you the most when you see video of him?
Well, there's not many players ever to play at Ohio State that have been a captain 3 years in a row. It just doesn't happen at a place like that. They've had so many great football players. So the first thing you look for when choosing a quarterback is leadership. And when you've had that nod and been that guy and that whole community looks to you as a leader, that's a big, big deal because that means everyone in the huddle believes in you. And I know that, sometimes in this crazy day and age, you get a lot of chirping from the cheap seats and stuff like that. And he's had a little bit of that, happen to him. And he's done so much in his career. I'm sure that there's a little bit of chip on his shoulder. And I'm sure his guys are going to rally around him and fight for him hard because he's a great football player and they're a great team. So the biggest thing with him is, making him go to his second and third reads, not allowing him just to sit back there and hit his first throws. He's got a very strong arm. And obviously he's a great dual threat quarterback, can run the ball, big in stature. So I think the biggest thing for us is to give him some different looks and make him go to his second and third reads.
Coach, you talked about the noise and communication being an issue heading into the Kibbie Dome. The horseshoe, it's a whole different, ball game. How are you guys going to deal with the noise and that type of stuff?
Well, one of our normal practice deals is practicing with music. So we literally blare it out there. So there are a lot of times we have, we create early on in spring issues with communicating just by the noise level that we have out there. So they're used to practicing with noise. The teams that don't have any noise, and not everyone has to use music, but I really do think in this day and age, they're loud, raucous environments. There's a lot of checks going on, a lot of hand signal communication. So we got to do a good job in our exchange from our center to quarterback. That can be a big issue if you're not used to it. And then a great job of going ahead and getting messages out wide to the wide receivers, and defensively making sure we're using hand signals, everybody's on the same page. But part of our routine, again, is practicing with noise all the time. We get the free airplanes flying right across us, so we get the free noise right there all the time. So we're used to playing with the distractions.
Mike, I'll ask you the same thing I asked your coach about J.T. Barrett. I'm sure you've watched him not only the video, but just over the years. So what kind of stands out to you about him to you?
He's ground on his feet. There's a lot of plays that they have strictly for him to maneuver around, inside zone keeps and all that. So we have to keep him contained.
I guess this kind of goes for everyone at the table, but just I know this is another game on the schedule, but at least it doesn't have that feel that this is just another game. It's going into a historic stadium and playing a powerhouse of a program. Is it hard to get up for a game like this when there's so much history behind the program and you're on the road at the Horseshoe for the players, coach?
Is it hard to get up for a game like this?
Yeah, there's not much you really have to say to the
Oh,
guy.
yeah, no, okay, I got you. I thought you meant the opposite way. Yeah, I was like, no, it's kind of exciting. You know what? No, it's one of those deals where, sometimes you go into kind of a quieter environment and you got to really get going, get the guys rolling and stuff. You don't have to worry about that. You're going to walk out there for warm-ups. You're going to have a raucous atmosphere. Your bus is going to roll up in front of massive tailgating, just great college game day experience. And, it's exciting to be a part of. So I'm not worried one bit about these guys being ready to go on Saturday.
Not worried at all. It's a great opportunity, so our best thing to do is seize it.
Same what Mike said. Great opportunity. Go out there and showcase our talent that we have.
Armani, just for you, coming off the Idaho game, took a little bit more hits than you did in that first game. How much did that bye week help you in terms of just getting the body ready, especially after just your second game in college football, getting ready for this game?
The bye week helped a lot, being able to being able to relax my body a little, being able to get my body back to what it was used to for the first game, how I came out there. And now for this game, I feel like my body's 100% ready for this game.
Tony,
Mike, last year you got a chance to play in the big house in Michigan. How much does that experience playing in an environment like that help you to talk to your teammates heading into the horseshoe in Columbus?
If anything, just let them know, after that, I mean, every game, really, your first play is going to be the first play. You get out, get them jitters out, and just let them know that it's the same game no matter where it's at. At the big house when I played in my sophomore year, after that first play, it didn't feel like I was playing in front of 100,000 people, at the stadium. So, just let them know, get the whole sight out of your mind and just play football.
Tony, is this a game where, given Ohio State's given up some bigger pass plays this year, where you might have to use the pass to open up the run game rather than the other way around?
Yeah, we know we've been a pretty successful run football team, and that's who we are, and it's the way we've kind of built ourselves. But we've got a talented receiving core, and if you're gonna have an opportunity in a game like this, you're gonna have to stretch the field. You're not just gonna be able to sit there and run the ball 50 times right out of front like that. They're pretty stout up there, so we're gonna have to run some to win the football game. There's no doubt about that. But we definitely have got to take advantage of some of those talented receivers we have, and we're gonna have to put them in some one-on-one situations and give our guys the ability to make some plays. And again, with Armani now going into his third game, having that extra week of prep, having an experienced receiving core group coming back, we feel like there's some opportunities out there, and we're definitely going to have to be diverse in our play calling to give ourselves opportunities to win some one-on-one battles in space.
Defensively, do you take anything from their game against Army, given that Army runs
Yeah, not a ton. We didn't spend much time other than personnel looking at that game. It's one of those deals where you don't use any of the breakdowns, you don't do the down and distance stuff. But when we break teams down and we break coordinators down and such, we don't just break down this year. You're breaking down stuff from 2 years ago. We're watching special team stuff over the last 4 or 5 years. Any fakes they could have run, anything offensively, defensively. So we've got a pretty good, breakdown on this group, and we feel like we've got a good game plan going into it. And the biggest thing is going to be executing it with the depth that they have. That's probably the biggest concern you have when you're, a non-Power 5 playing a Power 5 team of that stature. Is just, we're going to rotate 6, 7 defensive linemen in through the course of the game. They're going to rotate 8, 9, 10, 11. They're going to play multiple guys up front. They're just going to have a lot of depth in a lot of areas. So it's hard to really wear down a defensive front like that when they're constantly rolling guys in.
Is there anything you can do game plan wise or in your approach to offset the depth a little bit, or to help you guys in that area?
Well, the biggest thing there is you look at what Army was able to do, and and even Indiana a little bit, is just extending drives. They put some really good drives together. The best thing you can do for your defense is keep your defense off the field. And that every team has that same deal. So if we can sustain some drives, that'll mean a lot. At the same time, I don't think it's going to be just a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type deal for us. We're going to have to be able to take some shots calculated. Again, we're going to be diverse in our play calling, but we're going to have to put together some drives that allow our defense, to rest up and, not put them on the field so fast. So that's the biggest way you can get yourself in trouble. So we're going to be aggressive. We're not going to go in there passive at all. We're going to go and do our thing, and we'll see how it all works out. But I'm excited about our guys' ability to go and compete with these guys.
Armani, your reputation has kind of been one of a dual threat nature, similar to the dynamic quarterbacks that have come out of Ohio State. Does that kind of raise the air of competition for you?
Every game they'll take as competition, competing with another quarterback. It's just one of those things that we're similar, and you still have to go out there and compete. I'm not going to go out of my game to try to match his game. I'm still going to go in there with my game and with my type of mindset.
Armani, your thoughts on getting to pass more, as Coach had just mentioned?
It's exciting, but at the end of the day, still a team sport. So if we're running the ball and then the running backs, the run game is working out, I'm excited for our running backs to see that they're getting a whole bunch of yards. And if we're throwing the ball, I'm going to be excited to see our receivers, what we can do with the passing game.
Tony, you think you might expose Armani the way you did at Idaho with all those run plays?
Yeah, well, I think as we talked about last time, as the year goes on, he's going to get more and more. And some of those run plays were actually pass plays. He drops back, he goes through his progression, no one's there. He knows the smartest thing to do is you throw it away or take off and run, and he's got the ability to extend plays. So he extended some great drives and, got us in some good situations with his feet, and he'll continue to do that all year. So, yeah, there's going to be some variety in there where he's going to have some, RPOs, run pass options, some zone read stuff, and then some of it's just going to be, hey, there's just nobody there, you're going to tuck it and go. So it's one of the reasons we recruited him. He's a special talent, and the biggest thing for him is every week just continuing to develop, maturity of the game, just, intelligence of the game, situational awareness, and the more experience he gets, the better he'll get at it.
You can't go into any game being scared, obviously, but I mean, a game like this, how big a concern are injuries to you?
You don't worry about them at all. I mean, again, we walked into a UCLA game last year where, they pretty good team, and we went and played fine. We went to Michigan, we played there, and on top of that, we've got a lot of young guys that, they're freshmen and they haven't seen any of these big things. So you can't worry about that. I mean, heck, you could go out there in a walkthrough and get a kid injured. We've seen it happen. So this is a physical game. We've got a bunch of good physical kids, and we're going to go out there and get after it with them.
What do you do to replicate their speed and preparation?
Yeah, so like today, for example, when we did team, we left our ones on O for not the entire time, but we give them 5 snaps going fast at it with Armani at quarterback and doing some of the stuff that they do real well. So I think you got to mix it up a little bit and, let your ones take some of those, scout reps, not just a scout team. Just to kind of simulate that speed. And then every week, but this is not, none of the stuff is Ohio State week stuff. This is normal prep stuff. One of the things that we always do is we do good on goods every single day. So, for example, today we did tempo, right? So it's our 1-0 versus our 1D, running our offense versus our defense, and we're going no huddle, just so they get that pace of the speed. We'll do, team pass. We'll do a team run. We'll go do a couple different situational things throughout the week. So you always got that 10-minute period where it's 100 miles an hour, good on good.
I was thinking, when you think of whether a Mountain West team or whatever, then a team like that, are they that much quicker overall, a team like that?
I think in certain areas, and again, it's just the depth of it. I think Devontae Boyd can play football anywhere. I think Kendall Keys can play football anywhere. I've coached one of the guys on their roster, and he's as good as, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the country at any school. Mike Hughes, I'll tell you what, I got a defensive lineman that plays for that school. Just not a lot of people knew about Mike coming out of high school. Mike could play anywhere, We've got guys like that, and we've got a lot of really good, talented kids. So it ain't a knock on anybody on our roster. Just the depth that they have and the amount of kids that they have that are just, you look at, when their guys come out as freshmen, right away, right out of high school, it's just a different kid as far as their body and their preparedness and the way they look and able to play. Look at the amount of guys they've lost to the NFL in the last couple of years that have left early, and the young guys that have stepped right in those roles, and physically they're capable to do it. You look at the offensive line, and there's 3 6'7" guys, a 6'5" guy, and I think the center's 6'4". It's a bigger group, and and defensive line wise, same thing. So it's not that they've got different guys than us; they've just got a lot of them that rotate in the entire time, and that's it's a little bit different in that level.
Armani and Mike, when you guys scout these guys, you watch them on film and so forth. Can you kind of talk just about that speed that you see with that team?
From me, what I have to worry about is number 2. He's a great guy when it comes to jump cutting and getting in them small holes, so we'll have to for sure worry about him in the run game.
And just being able to extend the plays, like if we go into passing, being able to extend the plays, getting out the pocket, looking downfield for the receivers, and just going out there and having fun.
Coach, what are the benefits of this game from a football perspective and a financial perspective for UNLV?
There's 1.3 million reasons why it's a good deal. No, it's something you need to do, and it's just the world we live in. So any of our schools in the Mountain West, we got to go play these games. It's a big financial gain for the university, and at the same time, for us, we're going to play. It's going to be a fast speed game. It's going to force us to play faster than. Against a faster opponent that we've seen the last couple of weeks, going right into conference. It'll be as high a talent levels we'll see the entire season. So if you go ahead and get yourself geared up for that and play at that high level, then it should make you a better football team. So, again, college football is a crazy deal. You just got to go out there. You never know how it's going to end up. You just got to go play your tails off and get your guys prepared like they would. And and the one thing about this is you find a lot out about your teams. After coming from week 1 to week 2, you find a whole lot about who you are, who your team is, the way they respond. respond. You go in to play a game like this, the way your guys take the field, the way we compete, it's going to tell us a lot about who we are as people. So if you can, and hopefully by the end of it, those are all positive things. No matter what the outcome, hopefully those are all real positive things as we get ready to go into conference play.
From a money perspective, probably won't go to the football facility. What is the latest on that? I know that a loan was approved to get it started.
Yeah, so again, we want to thank the Board of Regents, and President Jeff's just been so steadfast the entire time we've been here, and we've talked about this a bunch. That's been one of the toughest things about this is, getting a football team ready, but then also being a fundraiser half the time too. And we've done a really good job of that. I mean, when you look at it, and you got just under 20 million in pledges in about 2.5 years, and now we have the ability to go out and get a loan to get the building started as we go ahead and raise money against that loan, which we'll have no problem doing. We've got some great people that are supporting us, and it's a needed thing. When we sit down and we talk about the building and the evolution of this program, and you talk about all the local talent and all the local recruits here. Well, these are the things that make kids want to stay home. These are the things that allow you to go to recruit at a higher level. It's one of those stepping stones that needs to happen. So that's a big deal. And the money not all going to the building. It's just a reality of the socioeconomics of the university right now. And I know that Desiree's doing a really good job of looking at what we have, what we need to do, and how we need to move forward. I know that every resource that we can possibly come up with will be put to the proper program at the proper time so these programs can move forward. And I'm understanding of that, and I knew that was the fight when we got here. So we just got to go sell some more cookies.
Tony, I imagine 3 weeks ago or so, Howard was having a very similar press conference, and the coach was probably saying, we have 600,000 reasons why we're going to play UNLV. The odds were completely stacked against him, and then what happened here? Can you use that at all, talking to your team, saying, hey, this can happen?
Yeah, you know what? The thing about it and the message, and you can ask these guys about it, I don't have to talk my guys into realizing that this is a football game and they have an opportunity to go win a football game. We all know the odds are stacked against us, right? I mean, it's pretty evident, but it's just the odds. And what do the odds mean? They don't mean anything. They're still human beings running around out there playing football, and we're going to have to do some special things. We're going to have to make some great plays. We're going to have to take advantage of some opportunities that, and probably more of them than we normally would in a football game. But at the end of the day, these still are 18 to 22-year-old kids. They're still kids that are, college students. I know our guys, when they were growing up, they never felt inferior to anybody, and I think since they've been in college, they still don't feel inferior. I know I don't feel inferior to anybody, so we're going to go out there and put our best foot forward, and we're going to go play football and have fun with it, and, we're going to throw down.
Mike, what tells you, what indicates to you that your teammates are ready for this game?
Practice. For the past 2 weeks now, we've handled it. Everybody's went out with a lot of energy, and then the way we've prepared, as much as we did for Idaho and how we came out successful in that game, I feel like it's been the same type of feeling to it. So as long as we keep, chipping away at it in practice, I feel like we'll do all right. Win games on Saturday. I feel like you win it during the week of preparation, and we've had 2 weeks of it.
Tony, anything you can take away from the trip to Michigan that helps you this week?
Yeah, I think you learn. Just every day you're learning, you're getting better, hopefully getting better as a coach, getting better as a player. And so when you take trips like that, again, you look at the time change and how we handled it. Normally we travel up on a Friday. For a game like this, we'll travel up on a Thursday, get there at a little bit later time. So when we wake up there, we're not having that whole, the jet lag and the time difference. So we'll get up there on Thursday night and then be able to wake up, have our regular practice. And then, someone brought up the stadium earlier. We'll go to the stadium at 4 o'clock and on Friday night. And that way they can walk around, take a look at it, take some pictures, send them home to mom. We'll pull them up. We'll talk about it a little bit. So on game day, it's all business. You're walking in. It's not like you haven't seen it before. You've been in the locker room. You've walked down the tunnel. You've taken your pictures. You put them on Instagram or whatever it is you do, right? And then the next day, it's all business. You wake up, eat breakfast, hold hands, and go fight.
The game time is your practice time anyway, isn't it?
It is. So when I've been asked that a bunch. For us, it's a good thing because we're in meetings every morning on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 6:50. We hit the field at 8:10. So you figure their kickoff at 12:01. That's 9:01 for us. So we're literally 40. I don't know. I can't do the math right. 50 minutes into practice. 51 minutes right into practice. So that's the normal time that we're rolling around anyway. So that won't affect us at all.
And you mentioned the running game before. When you hired Barney and John Garrison, was this exactly what you envisioned when you brought those two guys over?
Yeah, the biggest thing was when you're making a decision between whether or not you're going to, call it, be a coordinator or not, and if you decide not to, then, you definitely want to make sure that you hire people that have very similar philosophies. You know, you don't want to micromanage everything, but you want to know that there's a philosophy that matches the way you feel about the game of football, you know. And it's kind of funny because I'm an ex-wide receiver, but, you know, in just my experiences and going around watching a ton of different college programs and what I saw, I just knew that if you ever wanted to build a solid program, you got to be able to run the football at some point. You know, I mean, you can't, you know, you got to throw it. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and that's why we recruited this guy and all those great receivers and stuff. But, you know, to be consistent, to have a good defense, to be able to sustain and to build a program, and especially coming into here to UNLV. I mean, the situation we were in, I knew that if we were ever going to get ourselves out of the mud, then we were going to have to teach these guys to be a physical group, and you do that by running the football.
Tony, you talked about you're going to have to do a lot of great things. You're going to show a lot of different things this week. Is there any worry or anything in the back of your mind that you don't want to show too much as we head into conference games and making the rest of the season count and not show too much of what you got as opposed to throwing the kitchen sink?
Well, I mean, you know, you got to be careful too. If you get too gimmicky in a game like this, it can get bad real fast, you know. So you got to do some of what you do, but then again, you got to take some calculated risks. You know, the thing about, you know, kids can see through you so fast, you know, and there's real and there's fake, right? And they'll know right away if we're coming out and not giving them a game plan that would give them an opportunity, and if we're coaching a little bit different, if we're holding back for games coming up real fast, that'll put a bad taste in their mouth. So I think our guys know that we're going into this game with a game plan that's designed to win a football game. We're going to have to execute at a very, very high level. We're going to have the ball bounce our way a couple times. We're going to have to do some good things on all three phases. But no, there's no holding back this week. You know, each week you look at it with a clear lens. You look at what they do really well, areas you feel like you can attack on all three phases of the game, and that's the way we've approached the game and handled it.
And Armani, for you, game 1 to game 2 to the bye week, your confidence level, I mean, is it on the up and up, or where are we at just as we enter your third college game?
So on the up and up, the more experience you have, the more confidence you get. So from the first game to Idaho game, that was my first college game, Howard game, and then the second game, you can kind of tell that the difference of I was more confident out there. I felt more comfortable, and it's just decision making comes faster. Everything kind of slows down.
Armani, I know this is your third game, but you look, it was Howard, then Idaho, and now Ohio State. That has to ring. This is the team a few years removed from a national championship. They're contending for one every year. This is a great showcase, and unlike most of the rest of the games you'll play this year, this game has national implications for them. That has to get you a little more motivated. How do you keep it in check and say, okay, I'm on a national stage, but I still got to play a football game here?
You just have to go out there and be yourself. You can't go out there and then try to do too much. When you try to do too much, that's when bad things happen. If you just go out there and stay focused and go with the game plan, everything's going to fall into place. So that's how I handled it.
Tony, have you ever run across Urban Meyer in any meetings, or do you know him well, or?
You know, I don't know him real well. You know, I know some of it. You know, I know Tim Beck really well. You know, offensive coordinator there. You know, I know a bunch of assistants on the staff. The running back coach, know him real well. But I don't know Coach Meyer. Just know him through other people, and like you guys, what you've read and seen, and just he's had a knack of going into programs and building real successful ones, and he's been as successful as any coach in the country over the last 15 to 20 years, so he's done a really good job at creating a formula that really works. So again, it'll be a challenge on the player perspective, it'll be a challenge on the coaching perspective, so it's exciting. These are the kind of things that sharpen your sword.
Tony, I know it's a multi-dimensional team, Ohio State, but it's one thing at a time. If you had to say this is the thing we're going to put at the top of our list of focus, what would that be?
Well, defensively, it'll be tackling. Tackling in space is going to be a big deal on Saturday. And then offensively, it's going to be, finding an ability to run the football. They're going to be stingy as heck, and we're going to throw the football. But if we can find some type of groove that will allow us to have an opportunity to extend some of those drives, and then not giving up anything big in the kick game. So, each phase has got their own little emphasis. But, again, defensively playing with our hands and tackling in space, we'll get the guys lined up right. Offensively, again, finding, something that we can go ahead and attack in the run game, and then again, special teams, just not giving up any big plays.
Other than Charles Weems, any other injury news?
No, Charles is. You guys all know about Charles. He'll be out for the year. Whatever. Had successful surgery. He's already back in rehab. Mekhi Stevenson, we don't know if we'll get him back. He's got that, that toe injury. Drew Techman, again, it's a minimum of 3 weeks. It could be up to 6. If it starts to get into the 6, then there'll be a red shirt there. We had a freshman, Jamal Neal, that had ankle surgery yesterday, and he's back recovering. We planned on redshirting him anyways. Jacob Rominger, who's a backup will linebacker, he had ACL, so he's done for the year. So he'll be back next year. So, early on we've had a couple, and so far it's kind of impacted depth a little bit. Charles, obviously there, but we know that's a position that we've got quite a few guys. We can't afford too many more of them.
What's Techman's injury?
Who's?
Techman.
It's a leg injury. It's a hip, and he's got a little bit of a tear in one of the muscles on the hip. It didn't completely come off of the bone, and it's not the major tendon there. So it's one of those deals where they're looking for it. It'll heal on its own, but again, you don't want to push it too much and and make it something that impacts his ability to compete in spring football. If he can get healthy and get him back mid-year, then we'll do that. If not, then we'll go ahead and redshirt him.
Coach, jumping back to that practice facility, you hope to break ground before the end of the year, or what's?
Yeah, President Jessup said, at the Regents meeting that, he'd like to break ground by the end of the semester, and that's the goal. So and we're pushing hard for that, and we believe that'll happen.
Somewhat of a rhetorical question. How much does that help you going forward in recruiting?
Well, I mean, we've recruited on that platform. I recruited you that way, didn't I? I showed you pictures of the facility. It's big. I mean, when we got here, part of the job was when you get here, it's not just to go, run out there and grab a whistle and coach a football team. It's to look at everything that's been in the way of this program being successful, and academic resources, it's nutrition, training table, it's size of your strength staff, it's the size of your recruiting staff, it's the ability to keep assistant coaches, and pay them, an equitable salary compared to your conference. It's about the facilities and, these are the things. So again, that is, but when you talk about all those things I just mentioned, the major thing is facility. Colorado State just moved into a new stadium. They've got an upgraded facility. Boise State in the last 3 years has moved into a brand new facility. Wyoming right now is they've already, announced their new facility and been fundraising for that. And so it's not just us talking this language. It's kind of the talk of, of teams that are trying to position themselves to build and be successful. Again, this is a great group of kids. We are at a wonderful university right now that's having so much growth. We're so young too, 60 years old, 50 years for football, and the opening of our medical school, and there's so many great things happening in our city. NFL franchises, NHL franchises, the town's growing. It's time now to ante up and invest in football. We haven't done it. And it's too bad. You look at the building we're in right now, and nothing wrong with it, but they haven't done anything to do it in 20 years other than put some stickers on the doors we did when we got here. So it's time to invest a little bit more, and we'll see what happens. But again, if you talk about truly building and building for the future, it takes investment, and I don't care what business it is you're involved in.